Welcome to a brand new edition of Local Focus. I'm your host, Sebastian Noel. We are in the midst of football season here on ProView Networks. Of course, the My 50 game of the week you can always catch. And then all of our other events during the week on Game Vision at APS facilities and non-APS facilities, of course, still on the NFHS network. Best spot to go is just ProViewNetworks.com. You can click from there in the middle of football season here. The Cueva Bears looking good, of course, and one of the reasons is my guest today, their big offensive lineman, Mark Handy. Welcome to the program.
Yeah, thank you for having me on, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are off to a real nice start. Obviously, it's Farmington week this week, and a lot has changed on that team, that's for sure, right? They have some holes to fill. Obviously, you're going to be looking at a different quarterback, some pieces are changed, right? I mean, because that was a very competitive team last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's always one of our tougher teams, I'd say, because normally all the best teams are kind of nearby, but they are definitely like a game that we look forward to on our schedule.
The districts have changed, but obviously Farmington remains. Just talk about, we talked about the nice start you're off to, but you're getting everyone's best shot every week. I mean, It's going to make someone's year to knock you guys off, right? Talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, we won last year, and everyone wants to beat the people that won, so, it's definitely a target, and, some teams just have nothing to lose and just want to win, and so it's tougher, but, we deal with adversity well, I'd say, so we're ready.
And you're right there on the offensive line, front and center. You probably hear the most talking as well, right? You hear the most trash talking. When teams come in, they want to beat you guys. You hear all that. You hear how badly they want to get to Cam Dyer. You hear how badly they want to get into your backfield. Talk about that little bit of extra. Those teams seem to come into games against you guys with a little bit extra, a chip on their shoulder, a little bit more talking. Talk about that.
Yeah, that's exactly it. D linemen especially, they like to talk a lot, and everyone just wants to beat us, and we don't hold back either, of course, and our team talks back, but it's very competitive, I'd say.
Mason Posa was telling me during the scrimmage, Sandia of all teams was kind of running their mouth a little bit, right?
Yeah, that was kind of weird, I guess. I saw Mason yelling at them on the sideline because they were saying stuff to us about how, we're overrated and whatever. But, I don't know. I guess that was an interesting scrimmage.
What goes into a season like this where you guys are, there's been years where last year, right? It was no secret. We talked about, hey, it's going to be Cleveland and La Cueva at the end, right? And there's been years in the past where there's always 2 or 3 teams, but it seems like this is a year where everyone's talking about one team, and that's you guys. How hard is that to kind of block that out and go to work?
Yeah, I would say, it definitely is hard, especially for our team dynamic. I feel like, it's easy for us to just get ahead of ourselves, but we got a lot of great guys, and there's a reason that a lot of people talk about us. So, we're hoping to win it.
I feel like you guys have the perfect guy to kick you in the ass if you get a little too ahead of yourselves, and that's Brandon Back.
Oh yeah.
Right. So what does Coach Back do to keep you guys humble and hungry?
I guess his mantra sort of is every practice is it's a new day, and we're always just 1-0, and we don't focus on what's happened before or what's our season is leading up to, but just more, we want to be in the moment and just beat the next team.
Did he take the time at the beginning of the year to kind of talk about, hey, look, these are the expectations, this is what we have to do to reach them?
I guess the expectation is to win
right
again, and just I guess the biggest thing this year is just to focus, not to listen to what everyone's saying, and just to focus on our own team and just get better. Just focus on ourselves.
What are you doing individually to get better?
I do a lot of training just on my own, and a lot of weight training, and I guess I'm trying to work on helping lead the O-line more and being more communicative I guess.
Listen, this intrigues me because as a football fan, right, we know how a quarterback gets better, right? And, we know how receivers get better. We know how running backs get, and those are the sexy positions, right? Like when they get better, it's on social media. They're running routes. They're throwing passes, right? We know that's how those guys get better, right? But I don't think a lot of people, and myself included, I will count myself as the ignorant. I don't think a lot of people know how guys that play your position on the offensive line, how do you guys get better? Because it's not as simple as just running routes, throwing passes, right?
Yeah.
So what are you guys doing to get better?
I'd say, especially in high school, a lot of footwork drills and stuff. Just having faster feet, and like the biggest thing though is.
So how do you get faster feet?
Oh, yeah, I do a lot of like agility ladder, and I'll run sprints and stuff, but a lot of just like moving side to side and doing just short bursts of movement. That's really important on offensive line.
What else? Like, again, forgive my ignorance here. I'm one of these guys that just. I've been waiting to talk to you because of this. What technique-wise, what's important for an offensive lineman?
I guess that's the hard part, is that there's so much technique that's just very unfamiliar.
Give me something that the idiot like me can understand. Dumb it down for me so I can understand what goes into your technique as an offensive lineman.
I'd say the biggest thing is just like getting your hands inside. Like when I'm blocking, I got my thumbs up, my elbows in, and just
And why is that
pushing
important?
back. Just as better leverage,
Okay.
because if you're pushing out here and they're pushing you on your inner chest, I guess, then it's a lot easier for them to move you back. But if you are inside of them and able to lift them up a little bit, then it's a lot easier to move them back and move them where you want them to go.
Okay, what else? Okay, I mean, I'm not gonna, we're not gonna move furniture here because I'm afraid of you because you're a big dude. So we're not gonna move any of this furniture. But what else? What else are some offensive lineman technique for dummies here?
Yeah.
Kind of.
I guess the big one is on passing plays, you got a kick step, which is just sort of like you're kicking backwards with one foot and your weight's on the other to try to meet a linebacker running in or something, and then you gotta like punch them off. But the footwork on the kick step is like kind of strange, I guess, but that's a really important factor to just be able to get back, and because they're running at you to meet them.
Right. What differences in technique are there between pass play, run play?
It's like completely different, I'd say, because run plays is like very aggressive, very
Just trying to get a push.
yeah. You're just
Create a hole or
moving
getting a
forward, yeah, and just trying to get people out of the way. But pass plays is like you're kind of, I'd say it's more like a cornerback, where it's like you're kind of waiting for them to come to you and you're reacting on what they do, and you're just trying to stop them or slow them down as much as possible from getting to your quarterback.
And how is it different when you have a quarterback like Cam Dyer, who's not going to be a statue in the pocket? He's going to be dynamic, right? So how does that change what you're doing on the offensive line?
I'd say in some ways it kind of makes it easier, because it's like, if you do mess up, he's probably going to get away. But you do have, like, for me, I know that I kind of watch out for the fact that he might want to run around my side or something on a pass play, and so I'd be a little more controlling of my defender. So if he does want to scramble out, which he does a lot, then he can,
Right.
But yeah.
What about, is there a play in the playbook where Big Mark Handy could leak out as an eligible receiver, and is that in the playbook at all?
No, I wish it was, but
Why isn't it?
I don't know. I think they don't want me to get injured,
Okay,
but
all right.
I think I would score a lot, so I don't know. Yeah.
Right? Like, there was a couple years ago where Los Lunas had that jumbo package. They called it Rhino, where they let Tyler Keeney, Bryce Santana, they all went in on that offensive set. They all played, right? Like, I'll make a few calls to Coach Back on your behalf.
Yeah. We do have this one play called Gator, where it's like all of our big guys come out and block, but they still, it's like, I think Mason Posa runs that one in. But
there could be potentially, like on a tip drill, you could potentially maybe scoop something up and
yeah, maybe.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not out of the realm, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I guess that's never happened to me before, but
No?
I would love that.
There's not visions of a fumble recovery and a score going through your mind?
Yeah, there definitely is. I mean, that would be really fun. But
What about, okay, first of all, you've done a really nice job explaining the kind of the nuances of offensive line technique. The other part that has always intrigued me is like, okay, so if let's say you're a young quarterback, you watch on Sunday, you see, obviously Jordan Love, Aaron Rodgers, those guys, receivers, they're watching certain receivers, Christian Watson, whatever, but an offensive lineman, are you doing the same thing on Sunday when you watch? Are you like, oh, I'm watching that offensive lineman?
yeah, that's kind of like, it's kind of hard to do, I guess, to try and watch both. I normally just watch a lot of the offensive line and the defensive line just to see what they do. But
so it's the same, really.
Yeah, but sometimes I miss the play because I'm just watching at the line of scrimmage. But I mainly watch the guys that I like as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So who are some of those guys then at that position or in those positions?
I'd say I like Trent Williams a lot. He's really good, and Zach Martin and Quentin Nelson. I watch them a lot. And like David Bakhtiari, I think he's really good. But a lot of guys that most people probably wouldn't know.
Right. Well, I mean, a guy like Bakhtiari protecting Rodgers all those years, right? And it's got to be encouraging for you now because you're at, those guys are getting paid now. Like, it wasn't like that before. But I think the league has finally figured out, oh, man, the guy is protecting the quarterback, probably the second most important guy on the team. That's got to be huge for you, right?
Yeah, I mean, definitely an interest, I guess. Just another reason to go to the NFL. But, I'd like to be in the NFL either way,
Right. But I mean, hey, your position's getting paid, right?
Yeah.
It's not like the running back position where there's no value at that position. Those guys just don't make any money, right, anymore. But I mean, your position, protecting the quarterback, that's a money position now. I want to take a time out here. When we get back, I want to talk a lot more about not only kind of this whirlwind of recruiting, but also a little bit more about some of the other sports you played when you were young. We'll be right back.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, red and green chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier sweet rolls. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenprideabq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs are proud supporters of ProView Sports.
Rudy's is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number 1. Cover it with green stuff, 1 scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot. It's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
These are more than just the sounds of a safe place to go after school. These are the sounds of interest being ignited and of mentors making an impact. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we don't do just one thing. We do whatever it takes to meet the needs of every kid who comes through those doors. Because whatever it takes is what it takes to build great futures. Great futures start here.
Back here with La Cueva, Smart Candy, we were talking about just offensive line play. I think you did a really nice job explaining that to a dope like me that didn't understand it. So I appreciate that. I want to get into the other sports you played, but those might be on your list. So I'm going to do the list first. We do a top 5 list here on this program that I'm sure you've seen. Are you a fan of the show?
Yeah.
That's a good
I've
answer.
seen.
Yeah, that's got that answer right. All right, so we do a top 5 list of top 5 things we don't know about you, and this might be good because not a lot of people know offensive linemen.
Yeah.
Right. So especially on a team that's so star-studded, maybe you don't get the headlines sometimes. So what are 5 things we don't know about you? Starting at number 5.
One thing is that I played band in middle school and like basketball, so
All right.
yeah, I didn't start football till high school.
Okay, band. Let's start there. What instrument did you?
I played saxophone.
Oh, that's the coolest one.
Yeah.
I think that would be.
Yeah.
Can you still jam on the sax?
I was never that good, but
Okay.
I could like play it, I guess.
All right, because that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, number 4. Things we don't know about you. Number 4.
I'm gonna be a early enrollee.
Okay.
In Minnesota.
So that's exciting. That means you'll be done with campus when? When will you officially leave for Minnesota?
I think I leave like mid-January, but obviously I'm done with school in December.
So just in time to catch the end of the Minnesota winter there.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? That's. I guess you better get used to it right away, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Number 3. Things we don't know about you.
I can solve a Rubik's Cube. I've been into that for a while.
Really?
Yeah.
Like how quickly?
I don't know, not like super fast, but pretty fast, I'd say.
I think the guys used to have a Rubik's Cube in the old office. Yeah, that's
yeah.
pretty impressive. When was the first time you ever solved the Rubik's Cube?
Probably in like elementary school. I don't know, just
Our guys are
doing that.
still working on it.
oh yeah.
I think I saw one of them peeling the stickers off of it one time. So, all right. So, when's the fastest you've ever been timed at doing that? Have you ever been timed, or you just kind of do it?
No,
I think it's impressive enough without
Yeah.
the time, but
I just kind of do it. I think I've done it in like a minute, but I don't know.
have you ever won any money doing that?
No,
Like,
no.
You've never bet
I've
your
never
friends,
done a
like,
competition or
Hey, I
anything.
can do this.
No.
You'd probably take your friends for some money on that.
Maybe, but
That might be something you keep an eye on there. Maybe even some of your new teammates. They don't know you. They don't know your
yeah.
background. Hit up one of those big NIL receivers and then just take their money for doing the Rubik's
Yeah,
Cube. Number 2. What don't we know about you?
I like to ski. I guess that's
All right. I know. I gotta ask because I know what the audience is thinking right now. Big 6'6" dude out on the skis.
Yeah.
So how often do you ski?
Not that often, I guess, but I don't know. I enjoy
When's the
it.
last time? And are there different? What size shoe do you wear?
I wear a size 15.
Okay, so do they have? I'm assuming so that
Yeah.
you're all right on skis.
I think it's their biggest size, but
Okay.
I've been fine. So yeah.
The bears run away when you ski.
yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
so it's and I bet you there's never anyone in your way either when you're skiing, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I,
All right. I would have never guessed that.
yeah.
That's pretty cool. When here in New Mexico, you ski?
Yeah. I mean, in like Taos and Santa Fe.
I bet you the coaching staff at Minnesota hopes no skiing between now
Yeah.
and when you arrive.
Yeah. I don't know. Some schools I've talked to had like rules about no
Really?
skiing, but I don't know what Minnesota's rules are.
How did you get into skiing? Did your parents ski or?
Not really. I don't know. They just like took me skiing once.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. And the number one thing I don't know how you can top that, but the number one thing we don't know about you.
I'd say I only started playing football and wrestling in high school. I think that's
Wow.
number one.
That is, I mean, to think about that, I mean, you see the jacket, right? All those state championships in wrestling and in football, and neither of those sports you started till high school.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
I don't know. I've always wanted to play football, but my parents were like concerned about getting hurt and stuff.
Yeah.
And I played basketball pretty much my whole life, and then in ninth grade, or I guess I played 8th grade Yaffle during COVID.
Okay.
That was like a 6-week season thing, but I just went out. My parents thought I was big enough or whatever, and then the wrestling coach came to one of our practices and said I need to wrestle as well to like get better at football. So I just got into that too, and then I just quit everything else and focused on those.
Yeah, we'll talk about those other 3 in a minute. But okay, so I mean, because that's a pretty inspirational story for people that are watching. So for your freshman year to now, that's a 4-year window where you won how many state championships?
I won 1 in wrestling and 1 in football.
Right. So, and now you're going to play D1 football at Minnesota. So 4 years to go from starting a sport to a Division I scholarship, that is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I would say so. That's
I mean, that's I mean, talk about that a little bit. Just that means it was. What were the growing pains like at the beginning? And obviously, they must have gone by pretty quickly. But what were they at the beginning?
yeah, I mean, I guess I started out slower. You know, I wasn't like a starter or anything freshman year, and like wrestling, I just wrestled JV. And then sophomore year, I did pretty well. I was still on JV for football. I did start in 1 varsity game when our right tackle got hurt. But then in wrestling, that's when I really started to like come out of my shell, and I took 3rd in state for heavyweight. And then last year was like full stride, I guess, just starting left tackle, and then I won my state title in wrestling. So yeah.
Mason did want me to ask how many times he pins you in practice.
Oh, never. I mean, no.
No, it doesn't happen. Right, because he's a little guy, right?
Yeah.
You're probably the only guy on the team that can get away with calling him a little guy, right?
Yeah, especially on the wrestling team, I'm by far the biggest guy.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, I'm taking a minute to process it, because from not playing those sports to Division I scholarship, that is an accomplishment. I mean, you've already accomplished something amazing, right? And the future is so bright. The 3 sports you left behind, basketball, tennis, and soccer, how long were you playing those?
I guess like my whole life I played basketball. I think I started like when I was like 5 years old, and I played that all the way through middle school. And then like tennis and I guess soccer and other sports I played mostly, and baseball too. I played mostly mostly in elementary school and a little bit in middle school. But like 7th grade, I think I only played basketball really.
And then there was just this switch just to those other 2.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty phenomenal. Let's go through, man, that's just, so you start the sport as a freshman, you JV for a little bit, and then by the time you're starting regularly, your junior year, that's when Division I interest starts already coming, right?
Yeah.
What was that like? What was the first time a school called? What was that like?
I don't know. I guess the first time a school called was probably Texas Tech, and that was like 4 weeks into the season. I think it was before our Farmington game as well.
Did you think when you were starting, when you just picked up football as a freshman, was that a thought back then? Like, I'm going to go play high D1?
No, definitely not. I was just hoping to play, and be a starter. But I think after my sophomore year, I felt like I could go somewhere with it.
Right. And so take us through kind of the list. I mean, because there was a lot of schools interested, right? So take us through that list of schools that were interested. Or some of the, I mean, if you want to narrow it down, you can to kind of your short list or whatever, but take us through that.
I guess I don't want to try and name all of them, but Texas Tech, Baylor, and Arizona State were my first 3. But I ended up narrowing it down to Baylor, Duke, Cal, Utah, and Minnesota.
Mm-hmm. So, and what does that process look like? Kind of the narrowing down process. What did that look like for you? What was your support system there? How did that happen?
That definitely took a while. I took a lot of visits. I mostly just talked with my parents and stuff about what fit the best and like what coaches responded the best. And yeah, I mean, and then certain schools, they want to set up an official visit right away, and so those will probably stay on my list and stuff. And it took a while, and it changed a lot. But
and what were some of the things that would cause them to change?
Like,
did you fall in love with a school early, easily, and then another school was even better, or how did that happen?
I guess that's happened. I really liked Oklahoma State, and I really wanted to go there, but they were just more focused on local guys, so I couldn't get an offer there. So then I don't know. I guess I was focused on. I think I was mostly focused on Duke for a while, but Minnesota was one of my later offers. And then after I visited, I just changed my mind, and I thought they were my favorite school for sure.
And for those that don't know you, I mean, you've always taken the classroom very seriously, right?
Yeah.
So that academic piece had to be pretty big for you too, I would imagine.
Yeah, that's why, like, Duke and Cal were definitely up there for me. But yeah, I don't know, always been interested in school, and, I want to get a good degree and all that. So I was trying to go somewhere pretty good, and Minnesota's like, I think top 50, so they're pretty good too.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that you mentioned that the degree part, because the shelf life of an offensive lineman in the league, it's short,
Yeah.
right? So how important is that other aspect of life?
Yeah, I would say that's really important for everyone, just because, like, in the NFL, most people only last, like, I think the average career is like 2 years. So even if you're really good, like, you want to have a fallback plan, or if you get injured or something like that, I think, if I'm going to go to college for free, I should get a degree with it.
Right? And what was the big selling point at Minnesota? What was it about Minnesota that made you feel like, yeah, this is right, this feels good?
I think, the location is definitely a big one. I really liked it when I visited there, and, I kind of wanted to move more northern, or just kind of move out of the Southwest, I guess. Obviously, I love the Southwest, but...
No, there's something very beautiful about green grass and trees,
Yeah.
right? And we don't have it.
Yeah. I kind of like
It's okay to say that.
I like the colder temperatures, too. And then I think I just really connected with, all their coaches, and I really thought I fit in well. And I guess one thing that separated them was they're in the Big Ten, and they're my only Big Ten offer. So
Right.
I like that.
Now, how big is the I know we're in this modern era of NIL, and the money in college athletics is huge, right? But there is that piece about a personal and an emotional connection with the coaching staff, right? Like, how important is that?
I think it's really important because, some schools I did feel like I probably just wouldn't fit in there, and, like, with their values and what culture they have there, it's just not what I'm interested in.
Right.
But Minnesota, I mean, I think it fits perfectly,
Well, we'll be watching not only the rest of this year, obviously La Cueva chasing another trophy, but we'll be watching Big Ten football on Saturdays moving forward. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you, everybody, for watching, and good night.
Don't
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.